Hi, my name is John and I manage partnerships at Shopify. Okay, so you have created your online store and now you're looking for ways to bring more customers to your store and generate sales. So let's learn how you can get customers to find you online. Every business needs a marketing strategy. So where do you begin? With so many marketing strategies made accessible by technology, knowing where to start can be a real challenge. Hence, it's always good to outline a digital marketing plan before you start any marketing activity. This plan can have goals, schedule for different campaigns, channels you will use for each campaign, action items, and responsibilities of each and every team member. Once the plan is in place, focus on outlining the value proposition of your brand. Ask yourself, why is my brand unique? What is my desired tone of voice and attitude when talking to my audience? What is my core message? Your answers can help form a foundation for what you want to achieve. Now, before you start to market your business, it's important to have clarity on your ideal target customer. This is also called the buyer's persona. If you haven't created one yet, just scan this QR code to get access to a resource that can help you with this. Once you have outlined your digital marketing plan, brand's value proposition, and buyer persona, the next thing you would want to learn is how to get those first few sales. The only way you will get your first sale is by learning how to market your business. There are hundreds or perhaps even thousands of ways to market your business. In this lesson, we are going to focus on 5 methods. Choose the ways that resonate with you and your business to start. Remember that there will be a lot of testing and refining as you learn what marketing methods work best for your business. Each of these methods are inexpensive and practical, though they may feel a bit out of your comfort zone at first. The first method is to ask your friends and family to share your business with their networks. People buy from people they trust. So asking the people in your network who you think may have potential customers is a great way to get the ball rolling. The second method is to reach out to the press. Yes, we are talking about getting your product into the media when you are first starting out. This is totally possible. Media is one of the fastest ways to build your credibility, customers, community, and that elusive buzz about your company. And journalists and producers are always looking for new and exciting products to feature. The third proven method is to proactively reach out to potential customers on social media. This method takes a bit of patience and research, but connecting with potential customers who are tweeting or posting about your topic and providing a solution for them is a great way to get on your customers' radar. Another suggestion is to send free samples to Instagram influencers with a sincere message about your launch. There are no guarantees when you send free product, though if you can afford to send a couple of samples to people with large followings who you think would love your product and they post about it, it could be a huge win. It can also be a great way to develop a relationship with them and to perhaps invite them to become an affiliate down the road. Some influencers may ask to be paid to promote your product, which is something else you can consider depending on how much they charge and the number of followers that they have. Lastly, and probably my favorite, is to sell in person at a craft show or a local pop-up. This is a great way to share your story directly with potential customers and also explain the benefits of the product to them. Selling in person is also a great way to gather feedback and to continue to refine your product over time. For food product or other products that can be sampled, it's a great way for consumers to try the product and purchase it immediately. Be sure to capture their email address and follow up soon after the show to remind them to use the product and provide a link to your website. And then you can also follow up to resell to them later through your online shop. The key is to experiment until you find a method that works and then go all in. Now, let's focus on different marketing methods to grow your business. Let's start with a few free marketing methods. While they will take some time, they don't require you to spend any money. The first method is organic traffic. Organic traffic consists of visitors that found your website without any sort of paid advertisement. They found you through a search, perhaps on a search engine like Google or YouTube. Organic traffic is very valuable as the potential customer was intentionally searching to try and find a product or service like yours. Early on, you might not see a lot of organic traffic on your store. That's okay. Every new business experiences the same thing. To make your store as visible as possible to search engines, you are going to have to do something that's called search engine optimization or SEO. These are small tweaks you can make on your website so that Google can understand your business and direct more traffic your way. One action you can take right now is to make sure all of your images on your website have alt text. The alt text not only helps visually impaired visitors browse your site, search engines can also scan these alt texts to categorize your photos and better understand your business. Another great SEO opportunity for you is to use the search engine preview section of your pages. Pay particular attention to your product pages and your collection pages, as these are the descriptions that your customer will use to find your products. Each product and collection gives you the opportunity to provide a more descriptive version of each page. This way, your product page is more useful to a single visitor to your store, and the search engine optimized page includes information a search engine would want to know. Again, organic traffic is a long-term strategy for growth. The steps I outlined here are just a starting point, but SEO is a broad subject and you will want to learn more about this as your business grows. It takes time and willingness to learn the best practices for SEO to succeed. But there are tons of resources and courses available online that you can refer to learn in detail about optimizing your e-commerce website. The second free method of marketing is social media marketing. Social media marketing involves creating and sharing content on social networks to help build an engaged audience. You can benefit from being in front of potential customers where they already spend their time online. So how do you get started? As a small business owner, your time is valuable, and it may not be possible to focus on growing an audience on every channel at once. Based on your ideal target customer, you can narrow down your top 1 or 2 social media platforms and focus on those first. It's recommended that you claim your social media handles before you launch your store, and if your ideal handle is taken, consider adding HQ or shop into the handle with your brand name in it. Similar to organic traffic, social media marketing is a long-term strategy for growth. If you share the right content and connect with your audience, you can make your social media marketing a central aspect of your entire business. But early on, you need to keep it focused and keep it consistent. Pick a time of the day you are going to post and engage on social media and stick to it. Here are some social media channels your business can leverage. First is list your business on Google My Business. You have to just enter some basic details of your business and bingo, your listing or your business is now live on Google My Business listings. Customers who are searching online on Google search will be able to discover your business once it's live on Google My Business listings. Second is Just Dial. Similar to listing your business on Google My Business, also consider listing it on Just Dial as well, because we know in India, many customers look for products or look for services on Just Dial. Third thing you need to do is create a Facebook page of your business. The average person in India spends approximately 1.5 to 2 hours a day on social media, and hence it's very important for you to be present on Facebook as well as Instagram. Once you have created your business account on Instagram, you can create posts or stories about your products, new collections. You can also engage in different creative ways with your customers as well as followers. So make the best use of Instagram to engage with your buyers. And last but not the least, also consider creating a WhatsApp catalog. The third method of marketing is email marketing. For email marketing, depending on your email service provider, you can get started for free and pay as your email list grows. There are multiple such email marketing automation providers available out there. For example, MailChimp or Shopify email or SendGrid or OmniSend. You can review the services as well as pricing of each of these providers and take a call as to which email service provider you want to go ahead with. Email marketing is the practice of sending marketing messages to prospective and current customers via email in order to sell, educate, or build loyalty. One of the core benefits of email marketing is that you own the relationship with your customer. You are not hoping a search engine or a social media platform shows your store to the right audience. An email list of potential and existing customers is a valuable asset for your business in the long run. So it's important to start building it as early as possible. With your online store, you can start collecting emails from the newsletter forums that are built into the store. You can also consider using a pop-up to capture visitors by offering an incentive like 10% off your first order if you sign up for our mail list. One action you can take right now is to enable the newsletter subscription form on your website. Also, a lot of templates which are available out there on different e-commerce platforms include the option to enable a newsletter form. You can also build your email list before you launch your store by creating a coming soon page or by collecting emails in person if you have a face-to-face interaction with your customer. Email marketing is a long-term strategy for growth, though there are opportunities to start making sales right away. A golden rule to remember for email marketing is that every email you send should add value for your recipient. The fourth method of marketing is paid marketing. Paid marketing is advertising you pay for. The benefits of paid marketing include connecting with your ideal customers faster, as well as the ability to create highly targeted ads. If you're looking for a quicker results and willing to invest in the marketing, this may be the right method for you to start today. Before starting paid marketing, we encourage you to create a budget that works for your business. Paid marketing is experimental, so it's a good idea to set a low daily budget that you can commit to for a while. 250 rupees a day for a month will get you the results you need to help you understand what works. With this budgeting strategy, you can launch an ad for 3 days, evaluate how it performed, and then try a new ad for 3 days. You continuously experiment with slightly different ads, improving images, text, and audience targeting. With just 250 rupees a day for a month, you will have over 10 different variations of your ads for just 7,500 INR. While the goal is to always make a sale, you might not get there right away. But don't be discouraged. Even if you don't make any sales in the first month, look at the other data like reach and click-through rate to understand if people are seeing your ad and if they are interested enough to click it. So how do you make it? So how do you get started? Shopify makes it easy for you to manage your marketing activities by using the marketing section of your admin. From there, you can create marketing campaigns and track how well they perform. For example, you can easily run a Facebook ad by connecting your Shopify and Facebook accounts, making it really easy for you to get started. Paid marketing can be both short-term and the long-term strategy for increasing your sales and growing your business. It's important to implement paid marketing after you have launched your business. Now we will learn in detail how to run paid ads on Facebook.
Hi everyone. Now let me first start with congratulating you all. I think you have taken the big step of starting your own e-commerce company. You've also covered the milestone of identifying which product to sell online. So you have kind of covered two big milestones of identifying the product and setting up your store. Today I'll be talking about how do you cover the third big milestone, which is how do you get the first 100 orders. My name is Anshuk Agarwal. I'm one of the founders of AdYogi. So I'll walk you through each of these processes and take you through the journey of setting up your store and getting the first 100 orders. Now this is going to be the brief agenda for today. I'll start with talking about why is this the best time to start your e-commerce store. Then a little bit about how do you pick the right marketing channel, and then delve deep into one by one, how do you set up your campaign, how do you create your first set of campaigns, how do you optimize them, and eventually how do you get your first 100 orders. So let's start quickly. The question is, why is this the best time to start an e-commerce store? And I know a lot of information has been flowing online in why more and more sales are moving towards online websites. But I'll talk about 4 key reasons. Number one is there is a natural shift in online post-COVID, and it's primarily because a lot of us might not be willing to go to a mall to make a purchase, and we are more likely to sit at our home and order that specific stuff which we want to order online. The second is also the ecosystem in India is evolving by the day, right? There are platforms like Shopify where you can set up your website in as little as a couple of days' time. There are logistic providers where you can, with the click of a button, kickstart your delivery process. So the ecosystem has really evolved in India. The third is the cost of ads has been lower in the last couple of months. And the reason is largely because in the COVID time, a lot of advertisers paused their marketing campaigns. So you were able to actually run ads on Facebook and Google at a much lower cost. And lastly, of course, the post-Geo effect, the tier 3 and tier 4 penetration of internet in India is really high. So we see a lot of brands we work with, they get a lot of sales from tier 3 and tier 4 cities. So these are the key reasons why I think this is the best time to be starting your e-commerce journey. And one question with, I think, most brands when they start their e-commerce on Shopify is, can a really brand scale from 0 to, let's say, 5,000 orders or 10,000 orders, right? So what I want to do today is I want to share with you 2 specific examples of brands which we have worked with and how they have been able to successfully scale from 0 to 10,000 orders. And the idea is very simple. I want you to realize that if you follow a set of predefined strategies, you can also get your first 100 sales and eventually scale to 10,000 orders, right? So here is an example of Lion Polo. They started in March 2019. As you can see, they're a brand of t-shirts. And in the first 6 months, they were able to scale to 7,000 orders using Shopify as their website and marketing strategies by AdYogi. Similarly, I'm talking about a women fashion brand, again, a brand called Suta. They started in December 2018 on Shopify, and within 1 year, they were able to scale to 1 crore revenue per month. They serve a total of 30,000 orders during this duration. So the idea is There are brands who have been able to put up a store on Shopify and really get to like the first 10,000 orders, or let's say 1 crore sales by the end of the first year. And the idea is, how can you as a Shopify store replicate that success? Now, before we get into the details of how do you get your orders, a question which a lot of you might have in your mind, that where should you focus on if you want to get your first 100 orders, right? I know marketing is a very wide vertical. We have something called an SEO, we have content marketing, we have influencer marketing, affiliate marketing, and then you have all the paid channels like Facebook, Google, Instagram, TikTok, right? So a question which a lot of you often ask me is, where should you focus on? Okay, and the answer is simple. Number one, yes, you should focus on only one of them or maybe two of them. Don't try to do all of them, because as a new store who is setting up on Shopify, you would have limited resources, right? Now, within these, which ones to focus on? Now, if you look at SEO and content, they are very critical, but they typically take a lot of time to deliver results. So we have seen results coming in the first 3 to 6 months. So while SEO and content is an important vertical, they may not be able to give you your first 100 orders. They might be able to give you your, let's say, from once you get the 1,000 orders, they can probably give you another couple of 100 orders, but not the first 100 orders. Similarly, influencer, what we have usually seen is influencer requires a lot of A/B testing to make it work. Plus also it involves a significantly higher investment. So in our opinion, what we have seen across the brands we work with is digital ads is the one which is able to give them their initial boost. Once they get the initial boost, of course, content and influencer or affiliate marketing can add on top of it. But the first 100 orders we have seen typically comes from the paid ads. Now, when you talk about paid ads, I know the second question which comes to our mind is, which platform of paid ads? Are we talking about a Facebook, Instagram? Are we talking about Google? Or are we talking about some new platforms, maybe a Pinterest or a TikTok, right? In that also, my suggestion would be, try to focus only on one or two platforms. Don't spread your budget too thin when you're just starting your Shopify store. Okay. On the screen, what you can see is typically platforms are divided into two basic groups. One is a high impulse platform, and the second is a high intent platform. Now, what is the difference between impulse and intent? Very simple. If you pick up a category like fashion, a lot of people buy it impulsively. So which is why we call it as an impulse category. Or if you on the right side, if you see something like a gym equipment or you see gardening tools, a lot of them is not done impulsively. A good percentage of this purchase is when you actually need it. You go to google.com, you search for those products, and that's when you make a purchase, right? So category to category, depending on what you are selling, you will be able to say whether you are in an impulse category or you are in an intent category. But what is very important is, across the impulse and intent categories, what we usually see is the percentage of split between Facebook, Instagram, and Google varies. So if you're selling an impulse, we have seen that 90% of your spend actually happens on Facebook and Instagram. If you're selling an intent, we have seen that even for an intent category, 50 to 60% of your budget goes on Facebook, Instagram, and the balance might go on a Google platform. So to pick your first platform for your first 100 orders, we have usually seen across all the brands we work with that Facebook or Instagram is the best platform. Google typically comes at a slightly later stage. So my suggestion would be, for your first 100 orders, go with Facebook and Instagram. Now, once you decide the ad platform, what you need to understand is what is the journey of a buyer, right? And if you see on the screen, what I have shown is a step-by-step journey from when a person sees an ad on Facebook to when the person makes the purchase on your Shopify store, right? So the journey looks something like this. Person sees the ad, then the person clicks on the ad, lands on your website and views the product, adds product to the cart, and then makes a purchase, right? So this is a typical funnel of an e-commerce purchase. Now, what you need to understand is there are dropouts at each stages. So from seeing an ad to clicking on an ad, there is 1 to 2% click rate. Clicking on an ad to viewing product page, there is around 80% conversion, which means 20% people drop off. 10 to 15% of them add products to cart, and only about 20 to 30% of the add to cart people will make a purchase, which essentially means that if you back calculate your journey, right? So if you want to get 100 purchases, how many people should you be showing ads to, right? So what I've done on the screen is I've done a back calculation. So I'm saying that if you want to get 100 purchases, you need to get 500 add to carts, you need to get 5,000 product views, you need to get 6,000 clicks, and you probably need to get around 7 lakh impressions, which will cost you something around 50 to 75,000, right? So this is a very good way that before you start your campaigns, you can actually project what kind of a marketing spends you need. And this is a common question again we come across, that look, if I want to get my first 100 orders, how much should I be spending on Facebook, right? And the way you can do that is come up with these numbers for your store. Of course, you may not have them on the day 0, but you can have them as you go along, right? And then estimate a marketing spend which you need for your first 100 orders. All right. So we spoke about why is it a good time for e-commerce. We spoke about some brands which have seen very good success. We also spoke about how do you pick the right channel and how do you decide the marketing budget. Okay. So once you have done these preliminary things, the next stage which comes into play is how do you actually go about getting your first 100 orders, which is where what we have done is we have put together a framework for you onto how to get your first 100 orders. And I've split the framework into 4 stages. The first one is called the setup stage. The second is called the create stage. Third is the optimize stage. And fourth is the scale up stage, right? In the setup, I'll talk about how do you set up your Facebook and how do you set up your Shopify, a little briefly about that. In create, how do you set up funnel-based marketing campaigns on Facebook? In optimize, how do you do those basic optimizations so that you can reduce your cost per sale? And scale up is when you want to go from 100 orders to 10,000 orders. As part of today's discussion, I'll restrict myself to getting the first 100 orders because that, in my opinion, is a key milestone. How do you scale up from 100 to 10,000 is a separate journey, which we can talk about separately. Now let's go to the setup stage. If you're setting up for e-commerce, there are 3 key things which you need to focus on. Number 1 is how do you set up your store on Shopify, right? Number 2, how do you set up your Facebook Business Manager, right? But most importantly for e-commerce is how do you integrate your Shopify store to your Facebook Business Manager? Because this is something which is very important. And a lot of new stores, they consider Shopify and Facebook as silos. They don't make them speak to each other. And that is very important for you to get the best results. But a couple of important points to keep in mind before you start your marketing. And I'll talk about 4 key examples here. The first one is that you need to have your product titles have to be very clear, right? On your Shopify store. Now, if you look at these 2 examples, on the left side, you see something called a Malmal Rose Kurta. And on the right side, you see something called a mustard paste, right? When you look at Malmal Rose Kurta, you are able to understand a couple of things. One, you see the brand name. Second, you see the category name. But when you look at mustard paste, you are not able to identify whether it's talking about a sari or it's talking about something else. So very important when you're writing titles, your title should contain the name of the brand if possible, and it should also contain some reference to the category of the product. This is important because when people see your ads on platforms like Facebook and Google, they should be able to relate to the product category very quickly. The second thing when you are building your Shopify store, make sure you have descriptions on your product pages. Descriptions are very important because they help you highlight the USP of your product. What you see on the left side is again Malmal. They've spoken about at length about the product, and they've included certain USPs of the product in the description. For example, they have written floral pattern, delicate design, ultra soft. So these are the things which people are able to read and get a sense of what your product looks like or feels like, right? Versus on the right side, what we see is a Shopify store where descriptions are missing. Descriptions are also very important for Facebook to really understand whom to show your ads. So Facebook has an AI ML algorithm where it kind of shows your products to people whom he thinks are most likely to make a purchase. And some of that AI algorithm takes into account the product titles and product descriptions. So long story short, have detailed descriptions on your Shopify product pages. The third thing is, I think, clear product images. This is again very important. As you can see on the left side, we see a Malmal rose kurta and a clear product image. Whereas on the right side, what you see is a cluster of 4 images, which looks a little cluttered. So try to keep your images very clear. And the last one is recommended products. Recommended products is very important from a marketing standpoint because most of the traffic which you get from Facebook and Instagram lands on the product page. You want those people to be looking at other products on your website. And one of the important ways of landing on other products on your website is to actually scroll down and go to the recommended product section. So these are the 4 must-haves. Once you have set up your Shopify store, make sure you have these 4 before you start your marketing. So we spoke about how to set up Shopify briefly. The second important is how do you set up your Facebook Business Manager? And again, this is not very complicated. Facebook has a step-by-step guideline on how do you set up your Facebook. When you're setting Facebook, there are 3 key things. One is your Facebook page, second is your Facebook ad account, and third is the people in your business manager. Now, why is page important? Because page comes as part of your ads. Why is ad account important? Because that is where you set up your payment instrument. So Facebook charges you once you set up your payment instrument in ad account. Ad account is also the place where all your campaigns, ads, and ad sets reside. And the third is people. People is your way of managing your business manager. So follow the step-by-step guides. There are a lot of YouTube videos to help you set up page, ad account, and people. On the page, I just have one best practice which I want to talk about. Try to keep your page simple, but allow your prospective customers to contact you. So they can either contact you via WhatsApp, they can contact you via Messenger, or they can contact you via email or phone number. This is important because a lot of people, when they want to drop a feedback to a brand, or when they have some customer service request from a brand, they go to your Facebook page. And if they're able to contact you and get their query resolved, they are more likely to give you a high rating. If they not able to do that, they will probably give you a low rating. Now, what is a rating? Facebook gets a feedback from everybody who have purchased from your brand and gives you something called a page score rating. A high page rating means that you might be able to get better performance. A low page rating means you might be able to get a lower performance. So try to keep your page rating high and try to keep your Facebook page updated. Okay, so you set up your Shopify store, you set up your Facebook Business Manager. The third step is actually the most important one. How do you make your Shopify store talk to your Facebook Business Manager? And there are 2 ways of doing it. One is your pixel setup and the second is your catalog setup. Both of them are extremely important for any e-commerce campaign. Now, the first question is, why is pixel important? And I know a lot of you might have some idea, but I want to talk about 4 key reasons why pixel is important. Number 1, pixel helps you identify people who are most likely to purchase on your website. Now think of it, Facebook has 200 million people. When you target on Facebook, you typically end up targeting 1 to 2 million people, but not everybody is going to purchase your product. So Facebook has something called a conversion optimization, where it helps you identify which people are most likely to convert, and which is where pixel is important. The second is something called a lookalike audience. There are features in Facebook which helps you identify most people who are most likely to convert. Again, very important from a targeting standpoint. The third is something called remarketing. And I know a lot of you would have experienced this. You go to a website, you see a product, you come back on Facebook and you see an ad of the same product. This is known as remarketing, and Pixel plays a very important role here. And the last one is reporting. Now imagine you spend 50,000 rupees on your ad campaigns. You would want to see how many sales came. And the only way you can see that in your ad account is by actually implementing a Pixel. So 4 key reasons why Pixel is important. If you have not implemented Pixel, you should do that immediately. It is the backbone of running e-commerce campaigns. The good news is, if you have a Shopify store, setting up Pixel can actually take not more than 5 minutes. The second step of making Shopify talk to Facebook is something called a catalog. Now, if you're an e-commerce, most likely you will be selling like 50 products, 100 products, 200 products on your website. It's important that you upload all these products on Facebook, because once you do that, you might be able to run something called a dynamic remarketing campaigns. Again, there are easy ways of integrating your catalog from Shopify to Facebook. There are multiple apps which can do that. So find one app, and with the click of a button, you should be able to integrate your catalog from Shopify to Facebook. All right. So we spoke about setup, and setup is core of running your e-commerce campaigns. But the second stage of this whole process is how do you create your e-commerce campaigns? This is going to be the meat of my presentation today. And let's jump straight into creation portion. So when you're creating an e-commerce campaign, the first thing to understand is you need to follow a funnel-based approach. Now, this is where majority of the brands or majority of the new Shopify stores, they miss out on. They try to create one campaign, 2 campaigns, but they don't follow the funnel-based methodology, right? And this funnel, I know you might have seen it in marketing papers, you might have seen it in your schools. This is a standard e-commerce funnel. It talks about awareness, consideration, conversion, and loyalty. But I try to make it very simple for you to understand. At the top of your funnel are people who have never heard about your brand. These are people who never came to your website, never seen your products, never interacted with you. These are what we call as pure prospects. If you just move down, you see people who have visited your website in the past. They might have come to your social pages, they might have chatted with you, they might have added products to cart, but they might never have purchased. These are people who are either in the consideration stage or in the conversion stage, but they are not your customers, right? And at the bottom of the funnel are people who have purchased with you in the past, and they might actually come back and purchase again. So these are people who are your customers who can become your loyal customers. So when you're setting your Facebook campaign, you need to set up based on the stage of funnel, which means for the top of the funnel, you need to run something called a prospect campaign. This is your awareness campaign. And when you just move down a little, you need to run something called a remarketing campaign. And at the bottom, you need to run something called a customer campaign. For your first 100 orders, I'll not be talking about the customer campaign, because customer campaign actually comes into play once you have like a few thousand customers. So as part of today's presentation, I'll be talking about a prospect campaign and a remarketing campaign. So what I'll do is in the next few slides, I'll take you step by step as to how to set up your prospect campaign and how to set up your remarketing campaign. All right, so let's pick the prospect campaign. Now, the moment you jump on to the Facebook ad account, and try to set up your prospect campaign, there are three key questions which will come to your mind. Number one, what should my ad contain? Right? Very valid point. Number two, who should I be targeting my ads to? Right? Who should I be showing my ads to? And number three, what should I be optimizing my campaign for? So these are three questions which are very relevant. If you answer all three of them correctly, you would have set up your prospect campaign correctly. Now let's pick them one by one. What should my ads contain? Okay. What I've shown on the screen is two examples of running ads. Either you can, on the left side, what you see is specific products. It's called a carousel ad. On the right side, what you see is a banner ad. What we have seen in almost all cases is your ads should contain your products. And when people click on the ad, they should actually land on the product page. In almost all cases where we showed a banner or a category in the ad and we land people to the home page, the dropout is really high. So always prefer showing specific products in your ads versus showing just the brand or the categories. The second point when you're deciding what should your ad contain is you should have price as part of the ad. Now I know a lot of you might be thinking that we don't want to show price, let people come to the website and discover the price, but trust me, that doesn't work. You want to pre-qualify your audience. You want to show the price in the ad so that only the people who are willing to pay and have the ability to pay should be the ones who click on the ad and come on your website. Similarly, the call to action button, what you see at the bottom, should be shop now. Do not put learn more, know more, find more, download, nothing. The reason is you want to get people on your website with the intent to buy. You don't want people who just want to come for the sake of coming, right? So put a price on your ad, put call to action as shop now. We have seen the best results coming from these two options. The third part, when you're talking about what should your ad contain, is the ad messaging at the top. Now, this is very important. Imagine you're on Facebook and you're scrolling your feed. The first thing you see in the ad is actually the messaging, the first line of your message. So it is important that your first line actually catches user attention. Okay. So ad message is more important than what you think it is. And there are three key learnings in an ad message. Number one, try to make your ad message more contextual. So if it's Holi, talk about Holi. If it's Diwali, talk about Diwali. Raksha Bandhan, talk about Raksha Bandhan. Because it catches users' attention. Okay. The second is highlight your cash on delivery, easy returns, because these are some things which people are typically concerned about. So do mention it in your ad copy. And the third is try to add a use case of your product, right? It's important that people should understand why they need to buy your product, right? In this specific case, it's apparel. Apparel is fairly straightforward use case, but as you can see, they have still mentioned something like upgrade your wardrobe, right? So it's very important that you push the people, you tinker the people and tell them, look, this is the pain point which I'm trying to solve, or this is the use case I'm trying to solve, because then they are more likely to make a purchase. So if it's like a party wear, say that wear it at your next party. If it's a sari, then say that wear it at your next formal occasion, right? So you have to give people that use case. And lastly, your ad needs to be linked to the catalog. So while you're doing all these best practices, there is an option in Facebook where you can just link your ad to the catalog. When you do that, your images will automatically get pulled from your catalog, so you don't have to manually add them. We'll talk about a Loom video towards the end of this webinar, where I'll show you how you can actually create it. So you were able to answer what should my ad contain. The next question, which is very obvious, all of us ask, is who should I be targeting in my ad sets, right? And this is very important, because if you target the wrong set of people, they are not going to purchase from you. Now here is where I'll talk about few best practices. Number one, try to target a slightly bigger audience, right? Now, when I say bigger audience, I'm talking about demographics. So make sure that you target at least 50 to 60 cities in India. A lot of times we recommend all over India or 40 or 400 cities in India, but do not try to restrict your targeting to like just the metro cities. You might think, look, my potential customer is only in Bombay, Delhi, and let's say a few other metros, but don't do that. Because when you target very narrowly, you will end up paying very high for your impressions. People in Bombay, Delhi are typically the ones who have higher cost to reach out to them. So try to broaden your targeting. You will actually be surprised to see that a lot of people in tier 2, tier 3 are also willing to purchase from you. The second is, even in age and gender, try to be a little more liberal. So while you might think that, look, my product is going to be bought by like 20 to 30 years of age, try to make it a little relaxed. Maybe take it like an 18 to 40 age group, because Facebook automatically does a very good job of figuring out who is your likely customer. But if you constrain it too much, then the optimization doesn't work. Similarly for gender, if it's a men product, of course, show it to men. But if you think that men and women both are your target customer, relax the gender. Now, as you're starting your store, a very good way to set up your targeting is to try something called interest groups in Facebook. Now, as you can see on the website, on the screen, what we have done is we have picked up brands which sell polo t-shirts. So we call it as competing brands. This is one of the very good ways of targeting on Facebook. Figure out your price point, figure out other big brands in the industry which are selling at your price point, and use their brand names as your targeting. So anybody who has shown interest in an Allen Solly or a Fab India or a Levi's would actually become my target group. We have seen good interest, good performance coming from this targeting. So that's how you decide your first targeting. And of course, you can do a little more A/B testing to figure out what targeting works best, right? The third question after you decide the ad and the ad set is, what should I optimize my campaigns for, right? And this is where we have seen a lot of people actually go wrong. Now, as you can see on the screen, there are at least 11 different types of campaigns which you can create on Facebook. On the extreme left, you have something called an awareness campaign, brand awareness and reach. Then you have something called a consideration campaign, traffic, engagement, video views. And then you have something called a conversion campaign, which is conversion, catalog sales. Now, for e-commerce, if you want to get sales, and I'm sure all of you want to get sales, go for conversion. Don't go for awareness, don't go for consideration, go for a conversion campaign. And within conversion, you can either pick up a conversions objective or you can pick up a catalog sales objective. As part of today, I would recommend pick up a catalog sales because it's easier to set up and it's easier to get your first 100 orders. The second option is conversion campaign. So both these you can actually test it out. But again, no traffic campaign, no awareness campaign, and no engagement campaign. All right. So once you pick up the catalog sales as the objective, there are a couple of other questions which you need to answer on Facebook. Number one, placements. Go for automatic placements that gives the most number of orders across your campaigns. Second is there is a question about optimization for ad delivery, where you need to pick up the conversion event. Now, it sounds a little obvious, but there are multiple conversion events on your website as per Facebook. One is let's say, page view, a product view, an add to cart, a payment initiated, an initiated checkout, and a purchase. So in Facebook's language, each of these is a conversion event. But my recommendation would be go with a purchase conversion event. You want to optimize your campaigns for purchases and not for add to carts or for page views. It's very ironic. We have tested add to cart optimization for a lot of brands we work with. And in those cases, we end up getting a lot of add to carts, but you don't get enough purchases. So if you want to get sales, purchase optimization is the one which you want to do. And one more setting at the campaign level is something called a campaign budget optimization. What it essentially means is if you have multiple ad groups in your campaign, there will be an automatic optimization happening between them. Again, a very good feature to use. So enable your campaign budget optimization. All right. So these are some of the must-haves in setting up your prospect campaign. I'll also walk you through a Loom video on how do you actually set it up on Facebook. The second campaign we talk about today is the remarketing campaign. So remember the funnel I spoke about? I said at the top of the funnel, people who never know about your brand, who have never heard about your brand. How do you target them? Using the prospect campaign. The second set of people are people who have heard about your brand. They have come on your website previously. They have probably interacted with your Facebook or Instagram pages. They've probably even added products to cart, but they haven't purchased. Now, these are the people whom you want to target in your second campaign. The second campaign is called as remarketing campaign. Before we talk about how to set up your remarketing campaign, the first question is, why do you even want a remarketing campaign, right? And this is where what I show on the left side is a Google Analytics screenshot. What it essentially says is how many days does a person take to make a purchase on your website from the time when it first lands on your website. As you can see, roughly about 70% of the people, they made a purchase on the same day when they landed on the website. But there are another 30% people who actually came after 1 day, after 5 days, after 20 days, sometimes even after 40 days, right? And these people are not coming back to your website on their own. They're coming back because you're remarketing them. So this is extremely important that you run your remarketing campaign, because otherwise you might actually be losing 40% of your sales on your website. Now, what kind of people can you remarket, right? And this is where a lot of us actually underestimate the power of remarketing. There are two kinds of audiences which you are interacting with. One is a set of audiences on your website. The second is a set of audiences on your social pages. Now, what kind of audiences are there on your website? People who have come to your homepage, people who have come to your category page, have come to your product pages, have added products to cart. These are all the audiences on your website. What kind of audiences are on your social pages? People who have visited your Facebook and Instagram page, people who have seen your videos on Facebook and Instagram, or people who have seen your YouTube videos. All these are your audiences on social pages. Now, when you're remarketing, it's important that you remarket not only your website audiences, but also your social audiences. Again, this is something a lot of us actually miss out on. We miss out on the wealth of information which is on our social pages. All right. So we understood the importance of setting a remarketing campaign. We also understood what audiences are important for a remarketing campaign. Now let us jump straight into how do you set your remarketing campaign, right? And thankfully, your ad and campaign setup is actually very similar to your prospecting campaign. So you don't really need to set up a very different ad for your remarketing campaign. You can probably tinker with your ad message a little, and you don't need to set a different campaign objective for your remarketing campaign. So what should you target in your ad sets? All right. So as you can see on the screen, the only difference in a remarketing campaign is in your ad set, right? There is an option in Facebook where you can say retarget ads to people who have interacted with your products on and off Facebook. You can see that option on the screen. Once you select that option, you need to select viewed or added to cart but not purchased, and you can put something like in the last 30 days, right? What it will do is it will automatically show all ads to people who have viewed products on your website, added to carts products on the website, but have not purchased on your website. So very simple option, and rest of it Facebook takes care of course, assuming your pixel and catalog setup is correct. Now, this is where your pixel and catalog setup actually becomes very important. Great. So we spoke about the entire setup. We spoke about how do you create your first set of campaigns using funnel-based approach. What I'll do now is I'll walk you through a video recording of actual setup on the Facebook Business Manager. This will give you a sense of how easy it is to actually set it up, and it will also help you become more comfortable with the options on the platform. So all right, so just give me a second. All right, so this is how you set it up. This is your Facebook ad account. When you click on create, you have different options. Pick catalog sales at the top. It will ask you to connect your catalog. So you can just search your catalog, pick the right catalog. The campaign name could be my first prospect campaign. It will ask you for an ad set name. You can say competitor brands because you're going to target your competing brands. And then the ad can be any name. You can probably say my first catalog linked ad. Okay. Now, once you click on the create, it will take you through some finer details. It will ask you the budget. So you can start with a nominal budget. Depends on if you want to get the first 100 orders, you can probably say something like 500 rupees a day, right? And then pick the option of find prospective audience. That's the radio button option which you just saw. And when you scroll down, it will give you an option of detailed targeting. Now in the detailed targeting, pick up some brand names. So you can say online shopping, but you can also say something like a Louis Philippe or an Alan Solly if you're selling men t-shirts. Now this is very important. Pick up purchases in the event type. Okay. And you can pick up a product set. Product set is, you can just put all products because we're talking about your first 100 orders. Then click on next. The moment you click on next, you will go to ad settings. Okay. Now, as I mentioned that because you're connected your ad to the catalog, your products will get automatically pulled. So you can see on the right side that all the products have got pulled automatically. Put up a ad message as we spoke about, and then just publish. Now, when your products get automatically pulled, make sure that the price is getting pulled as well, because as I mentioned, price is very important in your ads. Now that was of the prospecting campaign. What we'll also do is we'll have a quick look at the remarketing campaign also. Okay. So again, pick up catalog sales, pick up your catalog. The campaign name could be my first remarketing campaign. You can add ad set. Ad set you can say viewed in the last 30 days but not purchased, right? And ad. Again, say my first dynamic ad or dynamic ad. Okay, click on continue. Again, you have a budget option. I will talk about budget once we come back to the deck. Click on next. Again, link your all products. Now here there is an option to retarget. Instead of picking prospect, pick the option to retarget. And here is where you will specify people who have viewed in the last 30 days, people who have added to cart in the last 30 days, but not purchased in the last 30 days. It's important to exclude people who have purchased in the last 30 days because you don't want them to be bombarding with ads. And pick automatic placement and again purchase optimization as part of the event type. Again, select your page. put in attractive ad copy. In the ad copy, you can actually mention, if you want to give an extra discount, you can give an extra discount, because these are people who actually come to your website and not purchased. So you would have seen copies saying that get an extra 10% off, right? And there you go. So you just, in a span of 3-4 minutes, you created your first prospect campaign, and you also created your first remarketing campaign. All right. So that was a glimpse of how do you create. The idea is simple. I want you to understand that if you get your basics right, the actual creation on Facebook is not very complex. This is something you just saw. Okay, so we kind of have covered the most part of the presentation. We spoke about how to set up. We spoke about how to create funnel-based marketing campaigns on Facebook. Now is the time to talk about how to optimize. So let's say, for example, you started your campaigns. You've done the setup correctly. You've done the create correctly. You started your campaigns, and your cost per sale is higher than what you're anticipating, right? So your first question is, how do I bring down my cost per sale? And this is where optimization will come important. And my next few slides will help you identify how do you figure out to reduce your cost per sale. Okay. The first step of optimization is your budget allocation. Now you have two campaigns. One is your prospect campaign. The second is your remarketing campaign. How do you allocate budget between them? So simple rule of thumb, if you are a new store or starting relatively new store, put 80% of your budget into prospect campaigns and put not more than 20% of your budget into remarketing campaigns. Now I have seen a lot of stores we work with that they end up putting a lot more budget on your remarketing campaign. And the reason they do that is when you look at your remarketing campaign, it looks really good, right? A lower CPS, and you get really enticed, you get really excited. Look, I have a lower CPS here. Why don't I keep increasing my budget there? Why should I even put a budget on my prospect campaign? Now, what you need to understand is if you stop your prospect campaign or you don't put enough budget in your prospect campaign, your remarketing campaign will not have enough audiences. And if the remarketing campaign does not have enough audiences, it will stop performing. So you might see good performance today, but the moment you pause your prospect campaign, your performance of remarketing campaign will also go down. Okay, so please don't do that mistake. Put it 80% budget on prospect, 20% budget on remarketing. As you scale your website, you can of course increase remarketing and reduce prospects slightly because your remarketing audiences will keep going up. So that's the first optimization tip. The second optimization tip is actually what we can decipher once we go back to the funnel. Okay. So remember at the beginning of the presentation, I showed you this funnel. I said there is a journey between seeing an ad on Facebook and actually making a purchase. Let's come back to the journey again. Okay. And let us find out why is my cost per sale high. Okay. The cost per sale could be high because any of these legs in the journey are actually making the cost per sale high. Okay. And I'll tell you what I mean here. Okay. So maybe you're not getting enough people to see your ad. So you want to get more people to see your ads, or maybe people are not clicking enough. You want to get more people to click on your ads. Once people click, you probably want more people to land on your website and see products, or you want more people to add products to cart. Post add to cart, you want more people to make a purchase. And not only that, you want these people to purchase high value products. Okay. What you need to understand is your return on ad spend or your cost per sale is actually a function of each of these 6 matrices. Okay. What are these 6 matrices? CPM, because if CPM is low, more people will see your ads. CTR, click-through rate, higher click-through rate, more clicks. Views per click. Once people click, how many products do they see? Cart percentage. What percentage of people who see your products add products to cart? transaction percentage, what percentage of people who add products to cart make a purchase, and lastly your average order value, right? Each of these matrices impacts your return on ad spend. So this is important. I think when you're doing marketing, it's important to understand that return on ad spend is not a single thing. It's actually a function of 6 things. Okay. Now the question is, as a new store, if you want to optimize or increase your return on ad spend, what should you be doing? Okay. So I want to make it simple for you. I don't want you to be like focusing on 6 matrices. I want you to be focusing on only 2 matrices. So what I've done is I've filtered it out for you. The first metric which you should be focusing on is click-through rate. And the second metric which you should be focusing on is your cart rate and transaction percentage. This is when you just combine the two, it actually is a conversion rate on your website. Okay. So don't get confused by so many matrices. Focus on these 2 matrices and you will be able to bring down your cost per sale. First metric, how do you increase your click-through rates, right? What I've shown on the screen is few hacks to increase click-through rates. Number 1, a sure shot hack, keep refreshing your ad messages every 7 days. Okay, it's important you do that, because if you don't do that, people will start ignoring your ads. There is something called an ad blindness which kicks in, and the click rates will come down. So rule of thumb, whatever be the case, update your ad message every 7 days. Second, you can add emoticons, you can add smileys. They definitely help in increasing click rates. And third, you can use something called an overlay. Okay, overlay is that image on top of your product image. It could be a border, as you can see in the image. It could also be a brand logo. It could be something like a sale icon on top of your ad. We have seen very good click rates if you add overlays to your ads. Okay, so small changes to your ad can actually give you a significant improvement in click rates. The second, try different ad formats. So I know we spoke about something called a carousel ad in the presentation in the create section, but there are also new ad formats on Facebook called canvas ad or collection ad. As you can see on the screen, this is an example of a collection ad. So try different ad formats. The more ad formats you try, the lesser the ad blindness and the higher the click rates. And the third is not directly related to CTRs, but be active on your social pages. Okay. The reason I want you to be active on your social pages is because if you add more and more messaging on your social page, maybe you put a few posts every week, right? More people will interact with you. And when people interact with your social pages, they can be remarketed using our remarketing campaign. And these people are more likely to click on your ads. So be more active on your social pages. All right. So these are the 3 things which can help you increase CTRs. The second lever of optimization, which we are going to talk about today, is conversion rate. This is also very, very important. Imagine you're getting a lot of relevant people on a website, but they are not converting because they are dropping off on your website. And you need to be able to fix this drop. Otherwise, no amount of Facebook optimization can help you optimize your campaigns. So what I'm showing on you on the screen is a video of a men fashion brand. Try to follow the user while you see the video, and kind of take a guess. Where do you think people are dropping off? Okay, so this is the home page of the men fashion brand. Now you have clicked and you have landed on the product page. You can see buy now, add to bag, click to call. You can see some social icons on the product page, recommended products. You can see a lot of links at the bottom like contact us, investor relations. This is the recommended product section. Correct. And you have clicked on add to cart, add to bag actually, and you have come on the checkout page. Now you can see a lot of links on the checkout page and a lot of input options. Okay. And price, etc. Okay. So I know you might have come up with some suggestions on where users are dropping off. let me tell you my hypothesis where users are dropping off. Okay. All right. So number one, Instagram feed or social media icons on your product page or checkout page. Now I know a lot of us are big fan of these social icons, but trust me, from an e-commerce standpoint, they make no sense. Okay. Imagine you're paying Facebook and Instagram to get people on your website, and the moment they're about to make a purchase, you show them an Instagram feed, they click on the feed and they bounce them back to Instagram, right? Why would you want to do that? So don't put social icons. If you still want to put them on your homepage, but please don't put them on your product pages. Don't put them on your checkout pages, right? Second is extra links on checkout page. It could be on checkout page, it could be on product page, but please don't put extra links. And by extra links, I mean something like an investor relationships, right? About us. Why would you want to show investor relations to someone who is about to make a purchase on your website, right? It makes no sense. All these links are for your homepage. Don't put them on your product page. Don't put them on your checkout page. Too many call to action buttons, right? Something like check availability at store or click to call, right? These features distract the user. You want them to add products to cart and you want them to make a purchase. Why do you want them to see where is your store located, right? In all likelihood, the nearest store would be like 10 kilometers away. And by the time he actually figures out it's a 10 kilometer away, you've kind of distracted him enough. You probably have taken him to a Google Maps link, right? So don't distract the user. They're come to your website because they want to purchase online. Don't show them your stores, right? Add to bag. Now, you might think add to bag and add to cart is the same thing. In all likelihood, yes. But Amazon has written the rule book for e-commerce, and Amazon calls it an add to cart. If Amazon says it's add to cart, it's add to cart. We have seen huge dropout happening on website because people get confused. When they see add to bag, they get confused, right? So don't get over creative. Follow the standard Amazon flow. That's the flow which will give you the highest conversion rate. And the last point is guest checkout, very important. And COD again is important. 60 to 70% of purchases today also come on COD. We have seen conversion rates on websites dropping by like again 70 to 80% when you disable the COD. Okay, so try to enable COD on your website. It's important from a conversion rate standpoint. We implemented some of these changes for a brand called Senji, and we were able to double the conversion rate from something like a 0.6% to a 0.9 to 1%. All right. So these are some of the things which you can do to reduce your cost per sale when you have set up your campaigns for the first 100 orders. Okay. So kind of summarizing, we have almost come to the end of this presentation. We spoke about setup, we spoke about create, we spoke about optimize. The last thing is, once you get your first 100 orders, how do you scale to 10,000 orders, right? Which is where your scale up mindset will come, right? So what I do today is, it's not the focus of today's talk, but I'll still give you a glimpse of how can scale up happen, which can help you understand some of these concepts, right? So when you're scaling up your campaigns, focus on broad audiences. If you keep it too narrow, your performance will go down. When I say broad, typically have like around 1 million to 1.5 million as your target audience, right? Increasing budgets, don't increase by more than 20% in one go. Look at your RTO percentages. Maybe certain states are giving you very high RTO percentages. Remove those states. Analyze performance at a category and a product level. See which categories are performing really well. Put more budget in those categories. And keep an eye on your Facebook feedback score, very important. So these are some of the scale up strategies, but they typically come into play once you get your first 100 orders and you want to scale to the next 10,000. As I told you, I'll keep it brief. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for being a part of it. It's a very exciting time to be running your own e-commerce store today. Tips and the tricks we spoke about today can be applied to your business, and you should be able to get your first 100 orders and upwards from there.
Now that you got introduced to different digital marketing methods that you can use to generate online sales on your website. The next question you would have is, how can I execute my digital marketing plan? This is small. The first option is do it by yourself. When your business is small or when you're just starting up, you might not be able to afford to hire a person who can take care of your digital marketing activities. Hence, you would want to do it by yourself. Now, don't get disheartened that I don't have these marketing skills and hence I would never be able to do it by myself. Well, there are tons of courses and resources available online. You can just enroll for one of these digital marketing online courses, learn the basics, and then put your skills and learnings into practice. Second option is hire a freelancer. Now, you might be swamped with too many other business activities, or you might not have time to run digital marketing campaigns. So you can then consider outsourcing it to a digital marketing freelancer. Now, there are so many freelancers you'll be able to find online on platforms like Fiverr.com or Upwork.com. The only thing you need to do is post your requirements on these platforms like Fiverr or Upwork, and then you will get proposals and quotations from at least 10 to 15 digital marketing freelancers who have listed their services on these platforms. If you're not looking to hire a freelancer, you can always look to hire a digital marketing executive in your team who can take care of your marketing activities. You can review the proposals and quotations shared by each of these freelancers and then decide to go ahead with the one that suits your requirements. If you are not looking to hire a permanent resource, you can also consider outsourcing marketing to a full-fledged digital agency. Now, there are hundreds of such agencies, small, medium, big, who are providing services like paid marketing, content writing, creative writing, SEO, and more. You can reach out to few of these agencies and ask for proposals from each of these agencies. Depending on your requirements, you can decide to go ahead with one of these agencies. Once you grow, you would want to outsource some part of your digital marketing work to an agency and keep the rest of it in-house. So you also have an option to have an in-house team as well as like an external agency who can manage your digital marketing. That's it. Thanks so much. Hope you are now set to scale your online business.